Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. John Owen talks about sports and movies. Thank you for checking out today's video. I always just appreciate the support. Let's get into it. Well, today John Owen is also going to talk about books. So a little bit of context for this video. I got a Kindle for Christmas and I've absolutely been flying through book after book after book. I have read 15 in universe Percy Jackson books. So the first 5 Percy Jackson, The Heroes of Olympus, and The Trials of Apollo. And then now I've read The Sun and the Star, which came out on May 2nd. So about a week after this video is posted. And so, I've loved reading and I've read more books outside of those 16. But I've just really, really enjoyed the aspect of getting to read and being able to talk about it. So I figured this would be a great space for me to talk about books as well. And so today we're gonna have our first book related video. I figured, with a new book coming out in a universe that I really, really love, I figured it only made sense. So today we're gonna have The Sun and the Star, a Nico the Angelo adventure review. It's an absolutely great and personal return to the world of Percy Jackson. I will get down into that when I'm in a second. But if you've read the book, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe so you never miss out on any of the fun. Comment your thoughts down below. What did you think of the book? I am going to issue a spoiler warning. So if you haven't read the book yet, or maybe if you're not all the way caught up on kind of what's going on in universe, and you want to come back to this whenever the time's right, feel free to save this video. But we're going to jump into spoilers for everything through this book. And without further ado, let's get into it. So I absolutely breezed through this book just because of how good it is. 467 pages, I believe. I read 3/4 of it in one day just because I could not put it down. It's an absolute page turner. And I think what's really interesting and different about this book that I really, really, really enjoy is that it is just so innately, deeply personal to the struggles of Nico and of Will Solace's characters. They're not trying to stave off a war. There's no Titan War. There's no Giant War. There's no Roman Emperor War. It's just Will and Nico going on this crazy, brutal adventure to go save their friend Bob from the clutches of Tartarus. And watching Nico be able to finally deal with all of his trauma in a really unique way, I think is really, really interesting. And I think it's so fascinating because it's such a different story than what the other books in the Percy Jackson universe have been. And I think it's to the benefit of this book. And I just love it whenever universes take time to just simply flesh out characters without having to, the plot revolve around making sure you're building up for the big finale. This book doesn't do that. I think honestly, there's no prophecy at the end of the book. There's no nothing. This book isn't going to lead to anything as far as universe shaping event. Like the end of the Percy Jackson books, at the end of The Last Olympian, they get the prophecy that's going to set up the Heroes of Olympus. The end of the Heroes of Olympus, because Apollo messes up so much, then we get the Trials of Apollos, and stuff like that. And I've not read Magnus Chase or the Kane Chronicles yet, but they're on my list. Anyways, and so, whenever you get this deep personal story, you're really, really, truly able to flesh out these characters that are involved. And I think it's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful character work. Every single time I see Nico in a book, I just fall more and more in love with him as a character. Truly, it's incredible, insane the amount of trauma and just terrible things that have happened to Nico, and yet he perseveres. And they talk about that a lot in this book. And I think that's such a powerful and impactful message to depart on all of us, is that no matter what bad things are going on, you are capable of pushing through. And I know it sounds cheesy, cleasy, maybe we'll workshop it. I know it sounds cliche, but it's true. It's so simple that we forget it. And I like how this book takes the time to remind us of that. And I think that the journey that Nico goes on is beautiful and wonderful. Um, and I think honestly it's relatable, like as far as, like having to hide himself in the 30s and his mom dying and Bianca dying and being in the Lotus Hotel for 70 years, Jason's death, all the death on his hands, being a son of Hades, like all of this baggage piles up and he's finally able to just release it and be at peace. And to watch someone who has played such a pivotal role in this series since the Titan's Curse, I think that's really special. And I think he is more deserving of a book like this than any other character in the series. And I think that it's really heartwarming and really, it moves me to see Nico get that, no pun intended, solace and peace that he's looking for. And all while we're down here with, his wonderful boyfriend, Will Solace, who, we haven't been able to spend too much time with before this book. Definitely he's played a role. And, we kind of get the characterization and, like him and Nico are dating by the time Trials of Apollo start. But I loved getting to just spend time with him. I think what Rick Riordan does an incredible job is just letting us spend time with the characters that are just kind of these really personal moments that where the world just kind of slows down around them and they just get to relax. And I think this entire book, I mean, not the fact that they're in Tartarus, but there's no big world domination plot going on. There's just not. And so I think, whenever you kind of slow things down, you really, really get to know these characters, what drives them and what they're scared of and what they want to improve on and what's important to them. And I think this book does just such an exceptional job of doing that. And I think it's a really, really cool story, especially in the context of this universe compared to the other books. I think this book really is just incredible. All of the books are definitely great. Maybe they're not all great, but they're all readable. And overall, it's just such a great series of novels and books. But this book does something different. Rick challenged himself to write this book. He brought in an LGBTQ author to write a book about two LGBTQ characters. That's really powerful stuff. Just the attention to detail means a lot to the reader, to me. To me, that means a lot, especially bringing in an LGBTQ writer. That means a lot to me personally. Um, and I just thoroughly enjoyed my experience reading this book. And what better setting to do it against Tartarus, where we're going to break down our characters to our absolute core in a story where we're breaking down these characters to the core. What better place to accelerate that process than the literal epitome of hell? The bottom, the worst place on the earth, and Tartarus. What better place to strip down our characters to truly who they are, good and bad, than that place? I think it's just so ingenious that if you're going to take the time to write a book like this, that's set up like this, that's going to tackle what it tackles, there's no better place that you could have done it. And I think it's just ingenious. And I think this is probably the last time we'll see two characters go down in the charts, because I think a third time the trope might get a little tired. But a second time with Nico, who is just this incredibly traumatized and haunted character, send him down there with the last person possible that needs to go Tartarus, Will, the sunny dispositioned literal son of Apollo. I think it's just an incredible concept and it's an incredible book, and I just absolutely and thoroughly enjoyed my experience while reading this. So overall, with a more personal driven storyline that doesn't involve saving the world or staving off yet another war, The Sun and the Star delivers on a deeply impactful and intimate story that deals with Nico's trauma and allows him to grow to incredible heights. Getting to spend time with Will and watching their friendship grow is heartwarming, and it feels good to tie up the loose ends concerning Bob. Lastly, the terrors and horrors of Tartarus play up the dramatics and serve as the perfect background for Nico to blossom into the character he was meant to be. 10 out of 10. Ignore the fact that it says this the way. That is my Mandalorian. I copied it over from my Mandalorian video, but this book's truly incredible. And if you're a fan of Percy Jackson, I really hope you go see it. Or I hope you go read this book. So thank you guys for watching today's video. I always appreciate the support. Make sure you check out the link content above. And you guys have a great day. Thanks.